Hey you, I'm just finishing up with some gardening here. I got a 4-hour stint in a garden doing some planting and hedging and some nasty weed clearing. It's all good, and it's nice to have a change of scenery because yesterday I was stuck on my backside on a computer doing computer related stuff. It sucks. Very much against nature. Anyway, little personal note, the gunner that sat next to me in the turret of my armored vehicle in Angola during the war, he got in touch with me yesterday. That's very cool. 31 years and we're finally back in touch. He's read a book that was spun off from mine, the book that I wrote, and so he came across that and then saw references to my book. So anyway, we're in touch now, which is cool. I have told him that, like the South African president Paul Kruger, who was very much against the establishment, he told the world that the earth was flat, and he was an absolute ball denier, you know, Vatican inflated ball denier. So anyway, I had a little thing that I wanted to offer at just for consideration. I don't know if I've said this to you before, but we are told that light travels infinitely far because it can travel many light years, millions of light years even, from distant stars, because they're so bright. Their light can travel through the darkness of space, somehow propagating through the vacuum, and then when it arrives to our atmosphere, it resolves into a twinkling star, just like Mars and Venus. Mars and Venus look like stars, don't they? Anyway, so if you still hold to the view that light is traveling infinitely far, then I would ask for you to cite a science experiment or any sort of experiment that we can recreate, where light is seen to be traveling through the atmosphere for any significant distance. Because in my experience, the best that we've been able to find is like a 100-mile lighthouse sighting, you know, in really good conditions. You know, we can maybe silhouette things a few hundred miles away if the sun's behind them. We've got something as bright as that. But even the brightest city, you know, once you're a few hundred miles away from it, you won't even see the sort of the light noise on the clouds in the area above. So as far as I can tell, this is my view on it, okay, because the idea that the sun is 3 million or 93 million miles away, depending on which scientists you want to listen to, they're making certain assumptions, a load of assumptions. In fact, the whole thing is based on assumption, you know, and the maths they use is really a whole lot of letters and numbers that they could fuck around with any way that they want to give them the sort of answer that they want. It's like creative accounting, really. Anyway, while I'm thinking about creative accounting, don't you know, if you had your accountant was to doctor your books, he would be altering them in your favor, or perhaps he would be altering them against you. I'm not sure. I'll read that in a second, Jason. But here's my thought on that, is that you doctor your report. You doctor your financials because you don't want the government to know how much money you've made, right? What if the government doctored you when you were indoctrinated to become a doctor of, take your pick, a doctor of whatever? totally indoctrinated. I mean, you don't have to go to university. We meet the indoctrinated, and I was one of them. All the way along this journey, right? So, back to the light. The light, if we can find it. Well, as far as I can tell, everything is a wave. Everything propagates in the ether, whether that be sound or light. Heat, you know, cold, it's all being propagated in the ether. So when we send out a beam of light from a high-powered torch, eventually that torch the light will pass from bit to bit, wave to wave, until eventually it kind of runs out of steam. I think the same is true with sound. I think you can't really expect that. They tell us, oh, once a sound is made, it's kind of propagated out into the universe and it kind of resonates forever and so on. I think there are limitations to light and sound. But specifically here, we're talking about the light, and I say, show me the evidence that light will travel any more than 100 miles, and you know, certainly not with any clarity. Go 10 miles from a light and you can't see anything, maybe but a flicker of it, you know, a headlight or whatever. In the army, we were using we did like riot control, or what they call township control in those days, and we had these humongous searchlights that the Air Force used to use, you know, massive, big things. They were like as big as a child's roundabout, you know, one of those little kind of roundabout rides that they go on. As big as that. You could cook your eggs on it. It was so hot. We would point it down at the village, you know, into the towns and stuff, and for nighttime kind of operations and searching. This is the sort of shit that your government gets up to, you know, still to this day in South Africa, just in a different way. So, but even those powerful lights didn't have an infinite range, and I would say that we allow certain kind of things with this light. It has an infinite, you know, sunlight infinitely far away. It doesn't matter how far the star is, it's still going to resolve to your eye. That's all a belief, guys. Come on. There is no actual way of showing that. And then when you take the telescope conundrum into a consideration, you realize that your telescope is actually only resolving 50 times magnification, 70 times, 100 times magnification. And if you take a building 10 miles from you, 3 miles from you, for heaven's sake, 3 miles from you, and you try and resolve something in the window of one of that building, like a person standing in a window, for example, you will struggle. You will struggle. So the reason you see all of that detail on the moon of these so-called craters, which I don't know what they are, the shapes that we see, or the shadows and things that we see, I don't know what they are, and I won't get into that now, the supposition. But the reason why we can see them with such clarity and with such, you know, magnification is because they're not that far away. You know, as I say, if the building was 10 miles away, try and resolve anything with any kind of clarity, even of the shape of the windows or whatever. You'll struggle to pick that up as a 3D object, or, you know, and have any sense that there's, you know, you could sort of make out that, you know, this idea that they got cameras that can see forever and light is traveling. No, come on. No, it's not. That's just theory, okay? Or that's just, they've twisted the whole thing around and made it like that. And think about this, if I may. If you're listening to this still and you still don't believe, then, well, cool. But if you still believe, but think about it like this. When you look at Mars and Venus, you see a bright light at night, a little star, twinkle twinkle little star. That's what you see. If that truly is light that has bounced off the planet from the sun and has now traveled 1 billion miles back to your eye, and yet we can't see anything more than 100 miles away from a light we can make, it's because you've given this this magnificence, this, like, it's a million times bigger than the Earth, and the amount of light is so vast, and damn, there's so many things wrong with that, but I won't belabor this. Let me see what Jason had to say. Hello, mate. I think a world as flame is brighter than the sun, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, I agree. She says that a world as flame is brighter than the sun, and I'm pretty sure it won't travel 100 miles according to science. I mean, you know, like, I've done a little bit of welding, and I know absolutely I can't look at it up close, but you know, take it away from me 100 meters, then I can watch it, although obviously I won't be able to resolve any detail around it. You know, so that's why the sun can sometimes feel an awful lot hotter, I think, because it doesn't need to move very far to be a whole lot hotter. You know, if it comes up, if it does some sort of, you know, it resolves higher or lower on the dome around you, or however it resolves around you. I think that. Anyway, so light is traveling through the ether. It's a wave propagating, and it only has a certain amount of steam. The environment in which it is propagated has a huge determinant factor as to how far it will travel. Dry air seems to have the, you know, the best propagation rate. The more moist the air, the lower the propagation rate for light. Interestingly, the other way around for sound, is that right? Certain sounds, I suppose, will propagate well underwater. Perhaps a lot further than they would in this thinness of this air. So it probably has something to do with the density and so on. This is all, I haven't thought about this, it just came to my mind now. So I'll leave it there. Thanks for all the very nice commentary. I really do appreciate that. You know, there are a few people who drop in every now and again with some vitriol. I don't mind, like, people with say you know, some, they want to be, you know, they don't have to agree with me, and they can come and listen to what I say and even comment. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with, like, vitriol. Do you know what I mean? Because the guys that come with vitriol, that's where they're going to stay. That's where they want to be. They want to be in the vitriol, you know. And we live in a dualist system, a negative positive system, so we have to expect people to be negative, right? That's what I've come to expect. But you don't have to kind of pay any or much attention at all to that. I think if you do, you end up playing in the mud with the muddy boys, then that's the choice you want to make. But for me, I'm like, nah. My ego isn't ruffled, or my need for kind of, oh, this guy said words about me and you know, made certain, you know, accusations or whatever sort, you know. Who are they? So thanks again, and have a supremely awesome day. Try to do what I'm doing. I mean, I've got a little bit of time here in this garden all to myself. I finished up a little bit early, and I'm sun gazing, naked. Why not? Cheers.